Let me tell you a little bit about me. I was born in Fort Riley, Kansas, to an amazing mom and dad. Grew up in a little country town in Oklahoma. I had a grandpa that was a recovered drug addict / alcoholic that ended up giving his life to Christ in his early 30s. So we were planted with the seed of Christ at a very young age. I was one of those kids that sports just came naturally. I played ball from about the age of 5, from t-ball all the way up to my freshman year in high school. I had big opportunities to do something with my baseball. But around the age of 12, I was introduced to marijuana. And I was always that kid that said I would never take it any further, that anything further than that would just be crazy. About right after my first year of freshman high school baseball, I was introduced to methamphetamines. I ended up dropping out of high school at 15 years old and was full-blown addicted to just about anything I could get my hands on. I was in such denial that I truly believed that whenever I was ready, I could just put it down and be done with it, throw it away. I ended up meeting a girl through partying, and we ended up getting her pregnant when I was probably about 18 years old. We had our first daughter in 2004, June 6th. I actually cleaned myself up well enough to be able to have a job and take care of my responsibilities. On June 17th of 2004, my daughter passed away of an accidental rollover in bed. I beat myself up for quite a while after that, and of course my addiction plummeted again. And also her mom went downhill fast as well. We ended up having another daughter in 2006, and we named her Miracle Lynn. We ended up getting married shortly after she was born. The marriage only lasted about 2 years, and it fell apart. So after that, I fell back into my addiction again, really hard, and basically lost my daughter the second time. But in reality, it was due to my own actions. So over the course of about 17 years, I was back and forth with addiction, trying recovery, failing, trying recovery, failing. Then I met my second wife. She's from Indiana. So I jumped on a Greyhound bus and went to Indiana. At the time, I was clean from meth, but when I got to Indiana, we both fell into a really bad pill addiction, opioid addiction. Then within a couple years, I ended up getting her addicted to meth. That went on for probably 6 years, the first 6 years of our relationship. Then finally it got to the point where we were living in a motel. She was running the office and I was doing maintenance to pay for our motel room. And at that point, my addiction got as bad as it had ever been. I was literally probably one pill or one line away from death. I mean, talking to walls, crazy stuff. Weighed about 110 pounds. I'm naturally 180. And finally one day, me and my wife, my fiance at the time, we got into a huge fight. It was absolutely insane. And at this time we were in Oklahoma. We had came back to Oklahoma that way I could be around my daughter. So after that fight, she got a hold of her mom and she went back to Indiana. So at that point, I was literally homeless in the streets, had nothing except for a crazy addiction. So my fiance had messaged me about 3 days into after she left. Her mom had come pick her up. And when she messaged me that day, she told me that if I would get into a faith-based recovery would be the only way that I would be able to keep our relationship going. I honestly don't think that she thought I would be able to do it, and rightfully so. But I immediately called my mom. She came and picked me up and she took me to a different town and a different motel. I dropped to my knees and just prayed and prayed and prayed, and my prayers just felt so empty and so far from God. I had an uncle that was out shopping one day at a shopping strip mall, and there was a group of people up there handing out flyers. Well, the flyers were for a recovery center. So the next day he told me about it and gave me the flyer. So I called the recovery center and they actually came and picked me up the next day. It was quite a ways away from my home, and just, it wasn't a bad place. I just didn't feel comfortable. There just wasn't a comfortable feeling at this recovery center. So I ended up leaving there after 2 weeks. But it did pay me good because it helped me to detox myself. I ended up coming back to the same motel that I was at that my mom had brought me to. So I had gotten hold of a recovery center that I had been to maybe 5 or 6 years prior to this. I had to do a lot of pleading and begging to get back into this recovery center because I had just left on bad terms the last time I was there. But they accepted me, and I came in. I was determined to get myself right. It was a faith-based recovery center, so that was exactly what my fiance was wanting me to do. And honestly, at first I was really doing it because she wanted me to do it, right? That's what my fire was in order to get myself right, was to get my fiance back. But then quickly it turned into God grabbing hold of my heart and me really wanting it for myself. About a month into my recovery, I had got a job at Walmart. My very first paycheck, I had my sister rent me a car and I drove to Indiana. I found my fiance and I had to beg her all weekend to come back with me. Like I said, I don't think she really thought that I was going to do this. She told me that if I would call her mom and apologize to her for what I had put her and her mother through, that she would come back with me. So I immediately picked up the phone and called her mom and let her know that this is real. It never happened again. I'm truly going to take care of your daughter. I'll never forget her mom telling me, actions speak louder than words. I said, you'll see. So when we get back to Oklahoma, I actually ended up getting in trouble at the recovery center for leaving the way I did for a couple days. But thank God, by this point, God had had such a grip on my heart that I knew it was over with as far as my addictions. So, as of April 16th, 2016, we have both been completely sober. We've got a roof over our head, a nice car, custody of my daughter, and it's just a story of how good Christ is. If Christ can save a person like me, I promise you, there's nothing holding anybody back from the love of Christ. That's a guarantee. It's a guarantee. So to those that are out there struggling with an addiction or any kind of depression or anything like that, turn your eyes to Christ. He'll change your heart. He'll transform your mind. And He'll make you the person that He made you to be. I love you guys. Stay blessed.